All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the NFL coverage. Your boy, we got a new desktop, the home office, and I'm gonna try something new with having my having the stuff up on the screen so you guys can kind of see. I might think that might help visually. If you're watching, if you're listening, I'm still gonna kind of talk through it so you don't have to see it. But we are here, we are better, and we only have a few weeks left in the season. So we're also gonna go over playoff pictures and some postseason awards and things like that for the front runners, like the top three guys for each one. Before we get started, remember we have a subscriber giveaway. um, all you gotta do is comment, subscribe for your chance to win $50 on the first 15th of every month. For December, we're also doing one on the 25th, so you have three opportunities this month. And once you're entered, once you do that, you will also be entered in the New Year's Day giveaway, which will be on New Year's Day for $200 via Cash App or PayPal. But if you don't win that, remember once you've entered, you're in for life, and you could randomly get an email saying that you've won $50 or whatever giveaway, because every so often we'll do more than just $50 here and there. But we're going to get straight into it. Since I'm doing this on the computer, let's go ahead and share screen. And we're going to go over week 14 of the okay, y'all have to bear with me. Okay, we're good. We're going to go over week 14. So Thursday we had Detroit Lions beating the Cowboys 44 to 30. Sunday we had Pittsburgh beating the Ravens 27-22. We had Seahawks beating the Falcons 37-9. Titans getting the dub over the Cleveland Browns 31-29. Dolphins getting the dub 34-10 over the Jets. Saints beating the Buccaneers 24-20. Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Colts 36-19. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Then we have the Minnesota Vikings 31-30. And Buffalo Bills barely get by the Cincinnati Bengals 39-34. Denver Broncos beat the Raiders 24-17. The Packers beat the Bears 28-21. Rams beat the Cardinals 45-17. And the Texans beat the Chiefs 20-10. And Monday we had the Chargers losing to the Eagles in overtime. Eagles, their third straight loss, 3-game losing streak. And bye week we had Carolina, New England, New York Giants, and the San Francisco 49ers. So let's just go over the divisional standings. From 1 through 4, AFC East, we got the Patriots, Bills, Dolphins, Jets. Jets have been officially eliminated from the playoffs. AFC North, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Browns. Browns have officially been eliminated. AFC South, Jacksonville, Houston, Colts, Titans. Titans have officially been eliminated. Broncos, Chargers. For the AFC West, Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders. Raiders have officially been eliminated. In the AFC, we have Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants. Both Commanders and the Giants have been eliminated. For NFC North, Packers, Bears, Lions, Minnesota. Those teams are all in play. NFC South, Bucks, Panthers, Falcons, Saints. Falcons and Saints have officially been eliminated. And the NFC West, Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, and Cardinals. Cardinals have officially been eliminated. Statistical leaders, passing yards. We got Dak Prescott at number 1 with 36-37. Drake May and Patrick Mahomes there leading right behind them. Rushing, obviously, we have Jonathan Taylor, no change there, 13-57. James Cook sitting there at second. At receiving, again, receiving's not changed much. We have Jackson Smith and Jigba. Sorry, it's loading up because we're filtered by yards at 14-28. You can see Puka Nuka there at 11-86 second. Then we're going to go tackles. We got Brooks at 142 in tackles. Interceptions, we have Kevin Byard at 6. And then also for passing touchdowns, it doesn't have this filtered by touchdowns. I'm going to find a better website. But passing touchdowns, I believe it's still Matthew Stafford at 35 passing touchdowns. Jared Goff sitting there second at 26. And Matthew Stafford's touchdown to interception ratio, really, really good. He's only thrown 4 interceptions on 35 touchdowns at 432 attempts, only having 4 interceptions. And rushing as well, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor also is leading at touchdowns as well at 16. But to filter this by touchdown, see who's like second and third. Jahmyr Gibbs, second. Josh Allen, quarterback there, second in rushing touchdowns at 12, right behind Jahmyr Gibbs. Receiving touchdowns, I believe Devontae Adams at 14 receiving touchdowns, which is crazy. And then T. Higgs and Jigba right there at 9. All right, moving on. Before we get into the performance alerts, guys, ladies and gentlemen, just so you guys know, this podcast is brought to you by Final Form Supplements. Check out finalformsubs.com, SUPPS, to get supplements that you need for training and just for general health. We got multivitamins, we got stuff for sleep, stuff for your hair, personal care. Check that out at finalformsubs.com. Also, theivfitness.com, where you can go and get workout programs or downloadable Excel files. Once you purchase it, you download it straight to your phone, to your computer, and it's easy to fill in. It has where you can fill in your weights. So you can keep track of that at theivfitness.com. Next time I'm going to have tabs so you can just we'll see the website. All right. Performance versus passing leader. Shout out Dak Prescott, the most yards, 326 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Got sacked 5 times, 31 of 47 in their loss versus Detroit. I wonder, will this filter by touchdowns? No. And then Shedeur Sanders, shout out to Shedeur Sanders, 364 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 23-42. Now, they did lose to the Titans, but from an individual standpoint, he has gotten better as the season's gone on. And the Browns came out and said that they're going to Shedeur's going to be the starter for the remaining of the season. Shout out Tony Pollard. Big reasons why the Titans got that dub. Tony Pollard did it all. 25 carries, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns there. Also want to shout out Blake right here for the Rams. 128 on 12 carries, averaging 10.7 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns there. Puka Nuka, 7 catches, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. So we know he's been doing the thing all season. And I think if he hadn't have been hurt of those couple games, he'd be giving Smith and Jigba potentially a run for his money, even though their yardage is still far off. But Nuga's averaging a good amount of yards per game. And Devin White for Las Vegas, 10 solo tackles, 19 assists for a total of 19 total, tackles. All right. So we're going to look at the playoff picture because playoffs are coming up in a couple weeks. This upcoming thing's going to be week 15. Then we have 18 total weeks. So in the AFC, Broncos, Patriots sitting there at number 1. They're both 11-2. Jacksonville Jaguars at 3 because remember the Colts are no longer winning their division. Okay, we're going to talk about the Colts. We're going to talk about the Eagles. Pittsburgh Steelers slide up. They move because they're 7-5. They move up to that 4th spot. Then we have the Chargers. Then we have the Bills. Then we have the Texans. The first team out is the Colts right now. Depending on how the Texans finish, because they're tied record, depending on how the Texans finish, Colts still have a chance of making the AFC. But Texans, remember, have one of the top defenses in the league. So I think the Texans have a good shot of winning out. And the Colts, they got to play the Seahawks, where the Seahawks are a solid team. I believe the Seahawks are in the playoffs in the NFC. So that's a team that they're gonna have to show play out. And for the Colts, Daniel Jones is hurt. Everybody's probably heard about Phillip Rivers signing to the practice squad, and eventually they're going to activate him from the practice squad up to the starting roster. So Phillip Rivers is probably going to be their guy because Anthony Richardson is still not ready in terms of coming back from injury. So it's going to be very interesting on can Phillip Rivers hold on to the rope enough for the Colts to get them back into that spot, right? For the Texans, it's pretty much in the Texans' hands. If they win out, they're in. So it's really in the Texans' hands to keep going in terms of it's their spot to lose. The Colts could win out, but if Texans win out, Colts are done. If you see what I'm saying. If they win the same amount, if they finish the season with the same record, Texans are in based off of based off of tiebreakers and the point difference of all this stuff that goes into account for the tiebreaker. Texans are in when it comes to the tiebreaker because Texans are also ahead of Colts because they're in the same division. I don't remember if they play each other again before the season's over, but that is very important to note that it's the Texans spot to lose. Colts, they need to win out to give them the best opportunity, but worst comes to worst, if they both win out or they both win the same amount of games for the remainder of the season, Texans are in. So it's going to be really on the Colts. Now, if the Colts lose to the Seahawks, their probability of making it is 23%. If they win, they still only really have a 50-50 shot of making it to the playoffs. If the Texans lose, they still got an 80% chance because they have the tiebreaker over the Colts. If they win, they have a 95% chance of making it to the playoffs. So that's very important. And then Ravens sitting right there out. And then we'll talk about the Chiefs later for the discussion. Ravens are still sitting out, but again, they're 2 games behind the Colts. So it's probably very unlikely that they win unless they can find a way to beat out the Steelers because they get that guaranteed spot, right? So it's really going to come down to how the Steelers finish and how the Ravens finish. In the NFC, we got Rams at number 1, 10-3. Then we got Packers. Still got Eagles in there, even though they're on that 3-game lose streak because the Cowboys started the season so rough. Then we got Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers, and then the Bears. Because the Bears are interesting because at one point they were number 1 in the AFC, or they were number 1 in the AFC, but now they're not because they lost in the head-to-head matchup against the Packers, which put the Packers at 2, right? So first team out, Lions, because again, Bears, Packers, Lions, all 3 of them are in the same division. And Lions are 3rd behind the Rams, or behind the Packers and the Bears. So it's really just shaping up that the Lions are the first team out because they're in such a tough division with the Bears and the Packers, which Bears being number 1 in the NFC for a week. And then the Panthers are right here. Again, they're a game behind the Lions. So as you're seeing currently, they got a 31% chance of making it. If they lose, it drops to 20. If they win, it goes up to 40. They play the Saints, which is a beatable team for them. But again, we'll have to see. For the Lions, right now, they're about 50-50, 53%. If they win, they got a 72% chance because they'd be winning against the Rams, which is a big win for them. Which is a big win for them. Which is a big win for them. But if they lose, still not bad, 42%. But again, we'll have to see how that plays out with the Bears and the Packers for the remainder of the season. And Cowboys, they're all the way down here. Now, what I will say, actually, let's go to this real quick. MVP odds. So MVP odds as of right now, Matthew Stafford's the favorite to win. Then Drake May 2nd, Jordan Love is 3rd, Josh Allen 4th, and so on and so forth. Okay, so Matthew Stafford again was playing phenomenal with a few games left. I think he'll be maybe close to mid-40s in touchdowns. Hopefully he doesn't throw any more interceptions. So we're looking at a guy that's going to have maybe 42, 43, 44-ish touchdowns, 4 interceptions, which is a great ratio. Passing yards, he can probably still get back up there. Again, it's going to depend how he plays. Offensive player of the year, Jackson Smith and Jigba is the big favorite, obviously because he's on pace to beat Calvin Johnson's single-season receiving record. Jahmyr Gibbs sitting there right behind him, and then Jonathan Taylor right behind them as well. Then we got comeback player of the year, Christian McCaffrey having a great season coming off the injury he had last year from a receiving and a rushing standpoint. I believe he's the leading receiver and the leading rusher for the 49ers. So that's big for Christian McCaffrey and Dak Prescott as well, all coming off injury. Big favorite here. I don't think there's anybody else that's more deserving than Myles Garrett. He's on pace to break the single season sack record, and he should break it by a couple of sacks. He did get 1 sack against the Titans, so I think he's at 19 or 20 total sacks, and he needs 22 to break it. So after this week, he'll probably tie it. But we'll keep an eye on that. And then Micah Parsons 2nd. And then offensive rookie of the year, McMillan for the Carolina Panthers, Jackson Dart 2nd, and Emeka sitting there at 3rd. So quick discussions. Let's go back to divisional standings. Because we got 2, and especially in the NFC, we have 2 strong divisions, probably the two strongest divisions in the league. We got the NFC North, which you got the top three here have 8+ wins, 8-9. Lions 8-5, Bears 9-4, Packers 9-3. Okay, then you have the NFC West, which you got three of these teams with 9+, two of them at 10. Rams 10-3, Seahawks 10-3, the San Francisco 49ers 9-4. Now, for the Lions, them sneaking in there, it's going to be dependent on these two teams, right? And what I want to talk about with the Cowboys, which is very interesting, is it's not likely, but they have a shot if the Eagles, again, where is it? A 3-game losing streak right here. If the Eagles continue this losing skid and the Dallas Cowboys can win their next 3 games, Dallas Cowboys can finish with 9 wins. Philadelphia, if they stay at 8, which I think they'll get, I don't think they'll lose out, but they got to find a way to get out this losing streak. But the Dallas Cowboys have a very slim chance of making it by securing the NFC. But that's all dependent on if the Eagles win, if the Eagles lose out. I think if the Eagles get at least 1 win and to keep that 2-game difference, I don't see the Cowboys winning enough games for the rest of the season for them to beat out the Eagles, but it is possible. Now, let's look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs right here. Was it the Chiefs I wanted to look at? No, it was the Colts. Colts, remember, for the majority of the first half of the season, Colts were the number 1 team in the AFC. They were the number 1 team in the AFC South division-wise, but they've slowly started to go down this skid. They went from first in the AFC South to second. Now they are third. They're kind of sitting at the same position that the Detroit Lions are in the sense that they're tied here. Houston has that tiebreaker. The Colts have to, how many, what's 8-5? What is that, 12? 13. That's 13, right? They have, how many games they play again? They have 4 games left. In 4 games, they need, the next 4 games, they need to have a better record than Houston to get in. So if Houston wins 3 games, Colts have to win out. If Houston wins 2 games, Colts have to win 3. So for Houston, if you win 2 games, you're in the playoffs. You need to win 2 of the next 4. You're in the playoffs if you're the Houston Texans. Same for Lions. No, Lions, it's a little tougher because they don't have the same record. So there's 4 games left. If Chicago wins 1 game out of the next 4, Lions aren't in. They don't get in. Because if they win 1 and if they win 1 that puts them at 10-4, Detroit would have to win. That would put them at, no, wait. Is that right? My math's not mathing. No. That's incorrect. That is incorrect. That statement earlier for this is incorrect as well. They need to win this. They need to, the Colts, they have to win a minimum of 1 more, So Houston has to win. They both, Houston, again, I said that wrong. Out of the next 4 games, Houston needs to win just 1 more. No, they don't. Colts have to win 1 more game than Houston, is what I'm trying to say. So if the Colts win 2 games of the next 4, if the Texans win 2 games of the next 4, Colts have to win 3. Texans win 4. If they win out, Colts are eliminated. If Chicago Bears win out, Detroit's eliminated. If Chicago Bears win 3, Chicago needs to win 3 of the next 4, Detroit's eliminated. Now, because if they win 3 of the next 4 and Detroit wins out, they are tied with the record. Bears have that tiebreaker. That's assuming they don't play each other head-to-head the rest of the season. That I don't remember. But that's all I really have for discussion. Now, let's look. Actually, while we're here, let's just see the Detroit Lions record. Or not the record, the remaining schedule. I should have brought this, and it doesn't want to load. So their remaining schedule, they play Rams. I want to show the whole schedule. Oh, here we go. So they play Rams, Pittsburgh, Minnesota. Oh, they play Chicago last game of the season. So they have a head-to-head. So basically, Detroit has to win out because this last game, if they win out and lose this one, if they win these three and lose this one, they're done, eliminated. They have to win out because one of the games they play is against Chicago. Chicago already has a game up. So if they lose this game, basically, if they lose any game of these three, it's over. It's over. That's not true. Well, again, I'm assuming Chicago's not gonna lose out the last four, but you get what I'm saying. Since they're one game behind, they need to win out these. They need to win these three. So if they lose this one, I think they'll still make it if Chicago doesn't, if they lose out. So there's too much at stake. It's every game from here on out is essentially a must win for Detroit. So let's backtrack. Sorry if I got a little confusing there because I got things mixed up. Now let's just go to week 15. So week 15 schedules Thursday night, we got Falcons at Buccaneers. Sunday, we got Commanders at Giants, Browns at Bears, Cardinals at Texans, Jets at Jaguars, Colts at Seahawks, Packers at Broncos, Lions at Rams, Raiders at Eagles, Ravens at Bengals, Bills at Patriots, Chargers at Chiefs, Titans at 49ers, Panthers at Saints, Vikings at Cowboys. Monday night, we got Dolphins at Steelers. My Coach Strib's games of interest is going to be the first one, Colts and Seahawks. The reason why, I will put this. Actually, both of these. Where's bye? Okay, no teams on the bye week. Who do the Texans play? I'm not gonna put that on there, but these two are important because Jacksonville's the division leader for the Colts, Texans, Titans, and Jaguars. So I'm interested in this one because if Jaguars lose this one and Colts and Texans get a dub, it's gonna start moving who's leading that division. So Jacksonville has one win. If Jacksonville loses and Colts and Texans win, they're all three gonna have the same record. Then it's really gonna come down to those last three games. So Colts and Texans, these are must wins. These are non-divisional must-win games. Then Lions, Rams, Coach and Strib's games of interest. If Lions, they got to win this, and you're talking about the best team in the NFC, Lions have to win this one, or I think if they lose this, I think they're done. Statistically, they won't be officially eliminated, but I think that pretty much wraps it up. If you're Detroit Lions, if they lose to the Rams, and then you got to play Chicago last game of the season. Okay. Eagles, Raiders. This isn't really on my game of interest because I think Eagles are going to get this dub, but I need Eagles to like step up. Right? They're not playing good ball right now. They're going down the slippery slope, losing 3 games in a row. They can't afford to lose 4 games. Technically, they can't afford to lose 4 games because Dallas is behind them, and Dallas is like still 2 games behind them. But for Dallas, the Vikings, Cowboys, this is a must. Dallas is to win out. This is an absolute must win for the Dallas Cowboys. So assuming Eagles get this dub, Dallas has to get this dub. If Dallas loses this one, I think they will officially be eliminated. I think because of I want this. Why, how can I hide this toolbar? All right. Oh yeah. Playoff picture. Where's yeah, Dallas is down here. So they have to win out. And even then, it depends on how the Panthers and the Lions fare. So Dallas, it's looking tough. It's 100% looking tough. So it's going to be Dallas and Vikings and Steelers and Dolphins. Because if Ravens get this dub and Steelers lose this, then now the Ravens are back at number one over the Pittsburgh Steelers, like they were last week, because I believe they have that tiebreaker against the Steelers now. Steelers and Ravens, I believe, play again, so they have another head-to-head. But Dallas must win. Detroit must win. Colts, Texans must win because Jacksonville's a game ahead of them. Eagles, it's not a must win, but they got to start getting together as defending champs for the Super Bowl, 100%. But done. So I hope that helps with visuals for people that watch this. And I feel like it makes more sense when I break it down, having this stuff in front of you. But anyway, that's going to be it for this episode of the NFL coverage. We will catch you guys next time.